If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I am joined by two folks who you have heard on this podcast before. My good friend and the co-host of the On Seagal podcast, Mr. Trevor Gumbel.
Hello, hello, hello.
And the one and only host of Dark Destinations, Father Malone.
Am I not the most loathsome of your goblins?
Boy, let's talk about a loathsome film, shall we? We're talking about Ridley Scott's 1985 film, not a classic, it's a film, Legend.
Something really special that I've been promising to show you. Always go now, because I'll only be here for a short while.
Don't you trust me?
I trust you, Lily. Nothing is more magical. As long as they roam the earth, evil can never harm the pure of heart.
The film was released in 1985. It is directed by Ridley Scott. It is written by William Hortzberg. It stars Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and Tim Curry. Billy Barty's in there too. And in the original version of the film, the director's cut, and we'll get to that with Mr. Ridley Scott, Jerry Goldsmith did the music, and in the version that no one wants you to watch, Tangerine Dream did the music. The film follows Tom Cruise as a Land creature who is tasked with saving the world from darkness, played by Tim Curry, the only person actually cast in this movie who knows what they're doing. Father Malone.
The only person who's actually trying.
or that. So, Father Malone, I am genuinely curious. First time you watched Legend, and what did you think watching it now?
I saw Legend on 85, you're saying it came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw it on my 12th birthday. Okay, yeah, saw it on my 12th birthday. And I I loved it then, and I love it now. How's that for a hot take, sir?
Holy shit.
In fact, I'll go further. Oh,
no.
The truncated 90-minute version that we got in 85, I thoroughly enjoy, and I really like the director's cut too, as sort of separate entities, which is the second time Ridley Scott has done that to us. But yeah, I'm unabashedly a fan of this movie.
All right, Trevor, I know neither one of us had seen this film before, but I'm going to turn the floor over to you first. What did you think of watching Legend for the first time?
Chris, I'm going to tell you right now how much I respect you and love this show. I sat through both cuts 2 nights in a row. The other night, I watched the 93-minute cut. Last night, I watched the director's cut. And they were both just absolutely meh. I just wasn't impressed. I mean, I wanted to love this film because 80s fantasy, that's my thing. That's my jam. I love it. I love stuff like, Willow, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Princess Bride, that kind of stuff. And this seemed like a movie that I was just predetermined to just absolutely love, and I just didn't. And that really disappointed me.
Yeah. Boy, I had never seen this film before, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, McFarlane Toys released a Movie Maniacs line of toys, and it was a lot of like cult films and like, kind of famous characters from cult films, and Darkness, played by Tim Curry, was one of them, and I remember always seeing that toy and thinking it was like the coolest fucking toy. I would love to own it, but I never watched the movie. Fast forward to 2020, and it's just I honestly, the most disappointing thing about this movie is the entire movie, because Tim Curry is the best part of the film, and that's it. Like, he's criminally wasted in this film for a dude who spent 5.5 hours anytime he needed to be in makeup. Why are you wasting this man's time with this like mediocre, middle of the road to poor, really bizarre, poorly paced film?
I will give the movie this. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The sets are just beautiful. The cinematography is wonderful.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
I even like some of Jerry Goldsmith's score. I felt that kind of fit better than the Tangerine Dream score did. But that really didn't lead up to much. It was more style, not much substance. I kind of felt like, Tim Curry was the only one who knew what kind of movie he was doing, and he knew what to do with the character he was given. Sara was okay. She just played the typical fleety, in love with nature and just young,
very naive, poorly
very
written,
naive,
two-dimensional character.
Exactly. It's if Sara from Labyrinth was a fairy or a princess. And Tom Cruise, who usually I enjoy, he's a very charismatic, very, charming actor, and he just gave nothing. It was just a very bland performance.
Say you, Father Malone.
I disagree with everything everyone is saying. Look, I agree. The characters are kind of two-dimensional, but I thought that was the point. This is just supposed to be kind of a fairy tale and not that heavy. I do agree.
There's a difference between not being heavy and just completely ignoring character development.
Hey, I'm not. Look, I won't argue with you about the character development for Jack and Lily. We're just supposed to bring more to the table than the film is willing to give back, and I appreciate that. However, just to echo what you guys have been saying, I think, obviously, Tim Curry is fucking phenomenal in the movie. That makeup by Rob Bottin is so crazily cool. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen at the time. It's still the best-looking devil ever. I do agree. The production design and the cinematography are sparkling in this film, particularly given that the entire film was shot on a soundstage. And usually when you try and fake outdoors for indoors, it becomes glaringly apparent and detracts from the film. I think in this case, they pulled it off enough that it was kind of not either one. It felt contained, but like part of its world. So I really admired that part of it. Look, I don't think this movie reinvented the wheel necessarily. And I might be, and I usually rail against this. I'm not nostalgic for the time period or anything. I could care less about that. But I think it hit me at an impressionable enough age where I was interested in fantasy. And up until the 80s, basically, if you wanted fantasy, basically you had to go toward like Sinbad and The Thief of Baghdad, and that was the only kind of movies which were sort of light and didn't take themselves seriously at all. And I enjoyed that this one did. And again, I was 12 years old at the time. That I really admired about it. There were a couple of movies that were taking themselves seriously. As you mentioned, Dark Crystal is one of them. Labyrinth a little less. But maybe Dragon Slayer, the Lucas production. That was also serious, but I didn't like any of the characters in that one. This one was more just aimed at me, I guess. I don't know. About the two scores in the film. Clearly it's a weird thing to replace a sort of classical romantic score with an orchestra and then give it to a electronic band from Germany. But I gotta say, I listened to that soundtrack a lot as a kid. I'm a huge Tangerine Dream fan, just sort of across the board anyway. And I think it's one of their better scores. That's all I have to say. I'm sure you guys can tear it apart now.
I liked the song Loved by the Sun with the guest vocals of John Anderson by Yes. I thought that was a good song.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like this movie was derivative of other fantasy movies at the time. Maybe if I'd seen this first before I saw stuff like, Willow, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, all that stuff, maybe I would have enjoyed it a lot better. But, with my experience in the films that I've seen, it just seems like it's just I've seen it before and it's been done before. And the movie could have used a little more levity. Sometimes it took itself a little too seriously for what it was, and it should have just been a little more kind of lighthearted. They tried
let Tom Cruise show his fucking charisma, for fuck's sake. Like, Tom Cruise is a goddamn charismatic actor, right? You already mentioned.
Well, they tried to do like a comic relief with the elves.
That's fine. But Cork Hubbard and Billy Barty, like, under all that makeup, it's going to kind of be hard to do anything other than what you're already given. And then you're also going to expect them to do comic relief and perfect comic timing.
And Billy Barty is just one of my favorite, character actors. If he could play a fantasy like nobody's business. We've seen what he can do. So it just should have been more lively than it was.
I mean, Tom Cruise is the backbone of this film, and it is so strange to me that they did not allow Tom Cruise to do what we know he can do. I mean, obviously, this is very early in his career. This is in 85. So, I mean, you can make the case that they didn't know what they had. I mean, this film had come out 4 years, after Tom Cruise's first kind of foray into acting in 81. But I would say that if not for the fact that Risky Business had already come out, and he's insanely charismatic in that film. And then in this film,
he was only a year from Top Gun.
Yeah, and this film they ask him to act kind of like wayfish and naive and kind of flighty, like a wood fairy. And I just it's not that it's Tom Cruise and it's not him playing that role very well. It's the role is poorly written. The role has no depth to it, and you are stuck with him the entire film. And he is charismatic in one scene, the scene with Meg Mucklebones, which is like the second best part of this film. Robert Picardo.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Also under 1.5 pounds of makeup. Tom Cruise is good up against those two actors. He's pretty good against Tim Curry, but then everything else is not great, and his career and his chemistry with Mia Sara is not even there. It's not even there. They have zero chemistry together.
There was only 2 scenes with them together in the whole film. I mean, that didn't really set up much of a romance or a character development with them.
Which is why in the director's cut they don't end up together.
Exactly. I mean, I will give the director's cut some credit. They tried to do a little more backstory with Lili, because I don't think in the theatrical cut they alluded to her being a princess, but they do in the director's cut with the extended scene at her house. But other than that, there's really nothing.
They actually, the original cut did mention that she was a princess, but it wasn't so explicit as it was in the director's cut. There's much more to that scene where she visits that woman in the forest in that house. Both scenes exist in both films, but it's much more expanded in the director's cut.
Well, the director's cut seems to focus more on the Tom Cruise element of the film than the Mia Sara element of the film.
And it's really interesting because the director's cut of the film is 20 minutes longer.
Yeah.
And watching the two, I know which one I prefer, but I don't want to give Ridley Scott the satisfaction of that because of the film. I don't look. I think we were gonna eventually talk about this, and I feel like now we should just broach the fucking topic. Ridley Scott is the reason director's cuts exist, at least in the form that we have now, and he did it to a film that, in creating a director's cut for that film, created a film that I have less interest in watching now. that film being Blade Runner.
I love Blade Runner.
I love Blade Runner too, but I cannot stand the fact that there is a director's cut of that film that is
There's like
not
5 different cuts of that film.
Yeah, well, the initial director's cut of that film is not as good as the original, and it installs into the canon of that film and the mythology of that film something that was so unnecessary that that's all anyone gets hung up on anymore. And it is ridiculous that is the route Ridley Scott went with Blade Runner. And when you look at a film like this, it's the same shit where it's like I'm fundamentally changing the film. And this time I actually think he did a pretty good job in kind of creating a little bit more of a streamlined, focused film, but I Ridley Scott and director's cuts, it's fucking ridiculous.
The original cut did feel very rushed. This was a better cut, I think. Concerning Blade Runner, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people I've talked to prefer the director's cut because they're not a fan of the voiceover narration that Deckard does in the film.
And my response to them is it's a fucking noir movie.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but it really didn't need it, and it's.
But it doesn't
like Hampton Fancher,
from the movie, does it?
It actually does, because Hampton Fancher, who wrote Blade Runner, said the narration. I'm just using his example to sort of sum up my feelings. It's so on the nose and obvious. It's like a character's looking at a red door, and then you hear a voiceover that says, "I was looking at a red door." It doesn't really add anything to the movie at all, other than knowing that Deckard's ex-wife used to call him sushi.
Sure, but did that justify what Ridley Scott ended up doing to the final product?
If that was his original intent with it, then yeah, I think it does, actually. That movie, there's an entire book about the sort of struggle that everyone went through to get the movie made. So, if that was what he wanted, then that's what he should be allowed to like bring forth to the public.
No, I know that's perfectly fine. I don't disagree with that, but I'm asking your opinion.
My opinion is that I like the director's cut better. The unfortunate thing about having the original film be available for so long, and I saw it so many times, is that I hear the narration even when it's not there. So, I don't know. Blade Runner is Blade Runner. I mean, there were 23 different cuts of it ultimately, but if he look, it sounds to me like you're more railing against what people are focused on from that cut, which is whether or not he's a replicant.
Right, but without Ridley
Deckard,
Scott reintroducing that. I mean, look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and maybe it's illogical dislike, but I am not a fan of Ridley Scott. I'm just not.
I know that.
I haven't seen much outside of Alien and Blade Runner that has been worth my time. And look,
I like Black Hawk Down.
I'm in the minority that actually enjoyed Prometheus.
Well, at least you didn't say you enjoyed Covenant.
I haven't seen Covenant, actually.
It's not
great.
It's not good. it's like Ridley Scott saw the notes from the first film. There's not enough Alien, and so it was like just Alien all over again.
Although my enjoyment of Prometheus may have been manipulated by the fact that I saw it on a gorgeous IMAX screen, like real IMAX, and it looked beautiful.
But have you seen it since?
No, actually.
Yeah, I mean, with someone like Ridley Scott, he's almost. I mean, look, we've talked about this a little bit before with someone like Peter Jackson and George Lucas. Kind of, George Lucas being the criminal offender when it comes to going back and rewriting your own history. I would point anyone to the latest version. Obviously, this is not George Lucas's doing. This is Disney's doing of the. Oh God, what's the thing that Greedo says now in the Disney Plus version of New Hope?
Clunky.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just like, what are you guys doing? But I mean, that all started with George Lucas in the 90s and 97 with the remastered
special editions.
Special edition, that's right. And then it's gotten worse from there with Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars has been re-edited and unedited and re-put together and unput together so many times now that they've been chasing their tail around trying to make everything quote-unquote canon and quote-unquote, straightforward and all one singular narrative that it's like, oh, Jesus, don't add any more Hayden Christensen, please.
Well, when the fans have to go back and repair the damage you've done, you fucked up.
Yeah, and that's the way I look at something like Legend is it's unfortunate that Ridley Scott straight up disavows a version of this movie along with Tom Cruise. Because, I mean, you're essentially telling Tangerine Dream what you did on our film is not worth watching ever again. And I have a hard time with a creator saying something like that, because it's almost like I'm going to blame someone else for the film failing. And look, that's fine. That does happen. No one's going to dispute that. But like telling people to straight out not watch another version of the film, guys, come on.
So they do a test screening of Legend, and there are two stoners in the audience, and they're giggling throughout the entire film. Ridley Scott absolutely panics because of this and completely, cuts 20 minutes out and slaps on a new score, I guess to please the stoners. I don't quite understand how radical his reaction was to a couple of idiots in a theater just who would have been giggling at anything.
In Orange County too, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Do you think they need to start vetting preview screeners before they let them in, so we know which ones are going to take it seriously?
Or maybe just know that a couple of people don't equal the general populace on a movie you just spent 3 years getting made. You know,
Exactly.
like that is so extreme.
Especially considering how what he cut out of the film helps the film substantially. Actually makes it a better film. But yeah, it's like that is such a reactionary way of doing things that I am so thankful that there are cooler heads in Hollywood than Ridley Scott. That's fucking bonkers, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I'm happy that I have the Tangerine Dream score and I can still listen to it. So in a way, I'm glad those stoners were in the audience. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, I know you can, we all have doubts about our own work sometimes, but far be it from me to like completely gut it based on the reaction of a couple of knuckleheads.
Yeah, I mean, letting fucking Jay and Silent Bob
pretty much. I mean,
like focus, your career or film path of your film is kind of a silly way to go about it.
Well, and then you have Ridley Scott saying something about how, the U.S. audiences are dumber anyways. That, like, I don't know if y'all read that kind of little blurb. Ridley Scott said that European audiences are more sophisticated. They accept preambles and subtleties, whereas the U.S. goes for a much broader stroke.
Oh, fuck that pretentious douchebag.
That is some fucking gatekeeping nonsense.
Did you see Kingdom of Heaven?
Did he see Gods and Kings, whatever, that Egypt movie that he made?
The most pretentious fucking films of, dude, you're not Cecil B. DeMille, stop it.
I mean, and that's...
If I may, I like Thelma and Louise as well. So he can make a good movie now and again. If he gets out of his own way.
He seems to be his own worst enemy, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
It kind of makes me wonder what would have happened if he actually did direct the Monopoly movie that they were rumored to have him be directing years back. Does anybody remember that? Anyone remember
summer, the Monopoly man is taking it seriously.
This was years ago. He was like rumored to be directing a film version of Monopoly. I'm thinking to myself, What the hell is Ridley Scott going to do with Monopoly?
Well, it's too bad we never got to find out. We got Kingdom of Heaven and Robin Hood instead. So,
oof.
I heard Robin Hood was just boring as shit.
I mean, that's the thing about Ridley Scott. I look at his filmography, and the films I haven't seen are ones that they might actually be the ones that I would be more inclined to find quality in. Like, I've never seen Thelma, and it's not because it's not like I've avoided it, but I've just never seen it. But I mean, I've seen stuff like The Counselor and Exodus, Gods and Kings and The Martian and Prometheus and American Gangster and Matchstick Men. It's like, dude thinks he's making fucking films for the highbrow. And it's like, you are just making movies. You need to stop acting like you're up your... I mean, a film like Hannibal is so up its own ass, it's shocking.
I haven't seen Hannibal since I saw it.
Forgot he did that, actually.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, see? Well, there's probably good reason for that, Father Malone. Primarily because that movie is awful.
What does it tell you when Brett Ratner makes the better sequel?
And even then, it's still not that good. Even then, it's a derivative version of a much better film by a much better director.
True, but, at least Edward Norton's in it, so...
And it is better than Hannibal. Hannibal is a abject piece of garbage.
Julianne Moore tried to do basically a
Jodie Foster impersonation.
Jodie Foster impression is just kind of sad. But we get to see Ray Liotta with his head
That's true.
taken off. So
It's
so pros and cons.
Yeah, well, speaking of pros and cons, I mean, in this movie, I don't know. Father Malone, I know you like this movie, but in regards to like the Tom Cruise and Mia Sara chemistry and their performances, I'm curious, what do you think about those two?
No, I think I said this already. Like, I do think that there is a problem with not necessarily the characters. I do think it's miscast is probably a generous term. And you're right, they don't really have the chemistry they should. I think with two other sort of sure of themselves actors, because both those actors, I think this is Mia Sara's first movie, and Tom Cruise was just trying to make the break to superstardom. I think they were just willing to do whatever they were directed to do, which isn't to say the characters are really well written or anything. I just think as is, if you had gotten other performers in those roles, then the problems that the characters.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
End up sort of giving us, as far as not enough of them or not enough of their chemistry, those go away. That's all.
As the film comes toward the third act, Mia Sara's performance gets a little more energetic.
Yeah, I love all of her stuff with Tim Curry. Like, I think she's spot on there.
Is terrific. She plays it well, but when we first meet her and Jack, it's almost like she goes into the forest searching for her imaginary boyfriend because he kind of just appears out of nowhere. And
right.
Frankly, she's frustrating because the whole thing starts because she can't listen very well. And Jack does nothing to even stop her. Like, the scene I'm talking about where they go to
with the unicorns.
And she goes and he goes, "No, stop." And he makes to try to stop her, but then backs away.
That's true.
That kind of annoyed me. It's like, dude, you can go get her. They're not going to run away. And it just kind of...
Well, in fairness, I don't think he could have predicted goblins hiding in the forest, willing to kill those unicorns at that point.
But he still knew that the unicorns are only...
Well, he says it. It's forbidden, like what she did to touch them. So
unless you're pure of heart.
Yeah, no. Right, but they came to her, so...
True, I guess. Well, in the director's cut, first the unicorn starts just freaking out and then comes to her. I got a question. Speaking of the goblins, what did you think of them iambic pentameter talking, basically? Talking in, like, Dr. Seuss rhymes.
Yeah. What's funny, if I was able to read William Hjortsberg's original script for it, and in the very first draft, everyone spoke in rhyme. He was going for real hardcore fairy tale. I'm not that stoked with the meter of the dialogue, but like I said about Tim Curry's character being like one of the best representations of the devil I've ever seen, I think Alice Playton's character Blix, the sort of main goblin, like I love her performance and I love that makeup. It's so striking and wonderful. Like I have yet to see it topped in any recent movies.
Well, if you let me get positive, I'm going to say something positive. Rob Bottin's makeup, second to none, outstanding. I mean, it looks just incredible. The goblins look real. The darkness, Tim Curry's character, I don't know how he did that great of a performance with that much makeup on him. I mean, that is one of the most elaborate.
The only
makeup
answer
pieces
is it is because it is Tim Curry.
True.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that there is any person on the planet who knows anything about cinema, either film or theater, that would not defend Tim Curry as one of the finest character actors, if not actors of all time, who has created some of the most iconic roles. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. In this film, he's given, I wouldn't say chicken shit, but he's in a chicken shit film, and he is the most memorable part because he doesn't just show up and go, this script fucking sucks. No, he shows up and goes, I'm here, put me in 10 pounds of makeup and let's fucking do this.
But I think saying that they gave him chicken shit to do is actually a great compliment to him because it just shows what he can do with it. Give him this, you give him straw and he'll give you gold.
Yeah, pretty much.
Saying.
I mean, the thing about this movie is nobody remembers this movie for Tom Cruise, right?
No.
And it has Tom Cruise in it. This movie should be remembered because it has Tom Cruise, one of the highest paid actors, the most recognizable actors on the planet. And yet this film does not get mentioned almost at all when talking about his early career. Risky Business
he doesn't
gets
like to talk about the theatrical version either.
No, he and Ridley Scott have both gone on record saying, do not watch the original cut of the film. Like, don't watch it, watch the director's cut.
Right. That's a huge problem for you.
Do what? I think so, don't you?
I don't know. I mean, I think both of these guys saw this cut of the movie and in their mind was like, this is the movie. And then, I mean, look, Ridley Scott doesn't have a leg to stand on, but as far as Tom Cruise goes, if he saw this and then they released that other thing, he'd be like, what the fuck are they doing? And then years later go, no, watch this. This is the movie I signed on for and this is the movie I made. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean...
No, I would agree. I would think that I think Ridley Scott is kind of... I mean, look, Ridley Scott, I think a lot of the issues with this film kind of end and begin with Ridley Scott, if you want to talk about his reaction to kind of hecklers in the screening, to, he wasn't the casting director, but he did have a say in casting with Tom Cruise, and some of the other names that were being kicked around, I think are much more interesting names than Tom Cruise. I'm not sure they would have fared any better in the role, but I mean, someone like Johnny Depp or Robert Downey Jr. were in the running for the role. And Johnny Depp could have been interesting. I think Johnny Depp would have been more kind of what this film was looking for from a aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah, but with Robert Downey Jr., not a chance. Sorry.
It would be so weird.
It would. It would be. I 100% agree. Jim Carrey's name is even in there as well. And that,
so they were just looking at whoever was up and coming right then.
Yeah. And look who they picked. They picked someone who was essentially up and coming up until, 86 is when Tom Cruise becomes big swinging dick from Top Gun on. So this is like right there. This is the last thing he does before he essentially becomes Tom Cruise, right? I think that's just kind of the way I'm perceiving his filmography and his career.
Before he was anointed, basically.
Well, the guy is one of, if not the highest paid male actor, I guess The Rock is now. But, Tom Cruise still is such a visible and known and just, great action star that now you can't separate him from that.
Look at the Mission Impossible films.
Well, that's my point. At this point, like Tom Cruise, you can't separate him from Mission Impossible and that genre. But, like, if you talk about Tom Cruise as someone in a fantasy film... damn near killed the genre completely.
Which is kind of sad. Because,
Father Malone, tell me another big Hollywood fantasy film that would come out in between this and Lord of the Rings. Not saying there aren't any, but I'm saying that Hollywood definitely did not.
I mean, I would say, just a few years later, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen came out. I think that's a pretty good fantasy film.
Willow.
Yeah, Willow came out after that. So
Princess Bride.
It's not. It's like what they say. Like, every once in a while there'll be a turn. Someone will make a good Western, and suddenly everyone thinks they're going to be tons of Westerns, but really nobody's interested in seeing Westerns like they used to. And I think with fantasy, it was an even harder sell than sci-fi for most people. Even in nerddom back then, there was sort of a clear divide between sci-fi people and fantasy people. Sci-fi is just easier to get into because it's cooler. But, I don't think this movie did any worse to fantasy as a genre than Dragon Slayer did or The Dark Crystal. I mean, or Labyrinth. Those movies are failures, really. I mean, they're cult films now, but at the time they all failed.
You don't even have to find things to enjoy in Labyrinth. Labyrinth is a fucking great movie.
And substance too. There's
yeah,
substance.
I mean, that's the thing. Like Legend, I think as far as I'm concerned, Legend is a great film to look at.
It is a beautiful film.
Alex Thompson's cinematography is amazing. I mean, he worked on Excalibur, and there's not enough good things to say about Excalibur because that film's fucking great, and that quality of cinematography carries over to this film big time. But to look at, great. Everything else, it's just kind of, it feels very, very rote, very by the book. Outside of everything with Tim Curry, it's just not particularly interesting.
Like you mentioned, I mean, this was around the same time as The Black Cauldron, which also failed. But
another great villain.
Yeah, another great villain.
I mean, it's almost like it's trying to be a live-action Black Cauldron. Almost.
Well, I mean, all of these fairy tale stories draw from the same dark, lineage of Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm brothers, and those stories are insanely dark, right?
And the Joseph Campbell, story.
So I mean, they're all kind of trafficking in the same.
No,
they're all trafficking in the same thing. It's just I really wanted to like this movie.
Me too, man. I really did. It seemed like a movie that was made for me to enjoy. Well,
it has. Again, you have a great villain performance, and so many times with film we complain about the villains not being good and the heroes being the good part, and then this film is one of those just complete flip flops.
And there wasn't enough Tim Curry in the director's cut. I mean, in the theatrical cut, he's introduced right away, because there's this opening crawl, and then it's straight into his dungeon lair, whatever you call it. And we see him immediately. But in the director's cut, he's mostly a voice. And we don't see him till 2/3 of the way through. And I don't think there was enough of him in either cut. Well, no, in the director's cut, there wasn't enough of him. I think that's where the theatrical cut has advantage. Because it's a little more emphasis on Tim Curry's villain and his motivation.
Yeah, in the theatrical cut, both films have the same speech by darkness at the beginning to set the tone, but as you said, we get to see him sitting on the throne, and we get to see him in a different shade. It's almost a fluorescent look on him. So you're seeing him, but not really yet. And I do think the theatrical cut could have used that footage. It's like he was counting on us, just wondering, "Oh my God, what's he going to look like? What's he going to look like?" But we don't care. We just want to see Tim Curry.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it actually cracked me up because I was watching it. My wife and I were watching it, and she was like, "Whose voice is that?" And I was like, "Oh, you'll see." And then she kept asking. I was like, "Oh, apparently we're not going to be seeing that quickly." Okay, I'll tell you, it's Tim Curry. It's not a secret that Tim Curry's in this fucking movie.
No,
yeah,
it's not a secret. He's on the fucking poster. This isn't goddamn Jaws. That's the way the villain. That's how darkness is treated in this film. He's treated like Jaws. And it's just so we're all on the same page, Tim Curry's the best part of this movie. Give us more Tim Curry and less of everything else. Don't save Tim Curry for the last 10 minutes of your movie. Just don't do it.
Have you read his Roger Ebert's review of Legend when it comes to Tim Curry's character?
But didn't he say that the lips give him away?
Yeah, only Curry's sensuous lips give him away. I'm like...
Yeah. It is remarkable that not only is he slathered in the makeup, but, most actors who, do prosthetic work, they say, at least leave my eyes. And they took that away from him, too. And he's still sort of just just dominating the movie. Like it's a fantastic performance right through all of the impediment.
Well, and Roger Ebert says you could have had anyone under that makeup, and I disagree because no one can play it like Tim Curry plays it.
No,
because Tim Curry plays menacing, charming better than most people.
Yeah, I read that review too, and he got on a train of saying you could have replaced the two leads with anybody because these characters are ciphers. But yeah, he's dead wrong when it came to that character Darkness. I honestly can't think of another actor who could have pulled that off.
He was right about Tom Cruise, but wrong about Tim Curry.
Tim Curry is so effortlessly charming. I mean,
exactly.
As the devil.
Yeah, and the scene, the sort of seduction scene when Lily is finally transformed into the sort of darker version of herself when they're around that table, he is so charismatic to the point where my favorite moment in the entire movie is where she refuses to do something and he screams and then...
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
You can tell he apologizes effectively to her. It's such a good character moment, and it's because of Tim Curry. In the original script too, this is the first thing they cut. I mean, her putting the dress on for the rest of the movie is their compromise, but originally, she has sex with Darkness, and she becomes this creature, and then when Jack kills Darkness, that all goes back. But evidently the one of the executives on the film read the script and said, "You can't have the villain fuck the princess. You're just not. We're not going to allow that."
Man, that would have made the Super Mario Brothers movie a lot more interesting.
I mean, anything would have made this film more interesting when it comes to the interactions at the end of the film with some of the characters. I like that scene with Mia Sara and Tim Curry, and it just goes to show that when you have someone writing a scene between the two characters that they apparently both all of a sudden understand, he understands how to write the female character all of a sudden when it's up against Tim Curry, but no one else. It's, all of a sudden the person who's behind the pen is actually putting in some effort into the scenes between two characters, because it didn't really feel like it in those other scenes.
Yeah, and I thought actually I did enjoy the dancing gown scene right before she transforms, where she dances with this dark figure. It's just called Gown. Yeah,
that's it. It's amazing. Yeah,
actually, it's a beautiful scene. Well done, and Jerry Goldsmith's score just accentuates it really beautifully. So I mean, there are bits and pieces that have potential to be really amazing, but it's just too few for me to really say, you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing this again.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, for me, the way I look at this film is it's okay. It's just okay. I like the parts with Tim Curry. I can see why the Tim Curry character is so well regarded. The makeup is so amazing. Rob Bottin's crew did the best job I think I've ever seen on a singular actor's makeup. I have not seen as good of singular makeup in a long time in film. And I think that the expectations for an actor like Tim Curry to be able to give that performance under that amount of makeup, the fact that he was actually able to deliver is great, because so much of the time when you have an actor under that much makeup, it's just there to look cool. There's no expectation of a good performance, but yet you get the one from Tim Curry that you needed. The perfect performance came at the perfect time for Tim Curry. He needed to be good for this movie and under this amount of makeup, and he was. But unfortunately, Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, everybody else is just, they aren't able to bring that fire that Tim Curry has in his role to the rest of the film.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
I agree.
It could have been a lot worse. It really could have. If Tim Curry's character had not been in this film, if Tim Curry's role wasn't as knocked out of the park as it was, I really don't think anyone would be saying anything positive about this film.
I don't.
I'd probably still be saying something positive, but I wouldn't love it the way I do.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, like you might say something positive, but I think ultimately, yeah, no, I don't think anyone would be going, oh, this is a film really worth watching unless you saw it at a really formative time. Because again, when you have a film like Labyrinth or you have a film like Dark Crystal that are fantasy films that do what this film is trying to do better, you would have overlooked this film. But because this film has that Tim Curry performance, you cannot overlook this film. You just can't.
Agreed.
So what would you give the film out of 5, Trevor?
I'll give it a 2.5.
What about you, Father Malone?
3.5, sir.
Yeah, I would give it a 3. I mean, if you've seen Tim Curry's makeup, you know what you're in for. I mean,
but you're actually not.
His performance is the best. Yeah, if you've seen Tim Curry's makeup, you've probably seen more of Tim Curry's character than the film shows you. So, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway is like for as big of a part of the remembering and the press that this movie still gets in the fantasy community or the kind of the memories that people have of this film, the best part of this movie is underutilized criminally, and that is the biggest fucking disappointment. Because you could watch a movie with just him. You really could. But then I don't think Tim Curry would be alive because the amount of time he would have spent in that makeup chair would have been a detriment to his health.
If they had just filmed 2 straight hours of him eating, then I would have enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
eating just an apple, I'd be like
anything other than not leaving him in the movie. And on top of everything else, there's like 4 other characters that are in really good prosthetics as well. So it's not just Tim Curry; it's also Billy Barty and Alice Playton and Cork Hubbard as well. They're all under makeup as well. So it wasn't just Tim Curry.
I couldn't tell that was Robert Picardo as Meg. Like, really? We didn't talk about what was that fairy's name?
Una.
Yeah, the one with the crazy look.
Loved it. I loved her look. She was weird, man. Like, that's exactly what fairy folk should be. Just kind of freaky and tempestuous.
Creepy looking. She was kind of like the Tinkerbell to his Peter Pan. Jealous of anyone who loves him more.
I would have been really happy if Richard O'Brien had played Meg Mucklebones like Ridley Scott had wanted.
I can't say that he would have been better than what Robert Picardo gave us.
No, I mean, Richard O'Brien in anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, the more Richard O'Brien, the better. I totally agree. But
exactly.
But Robert...
And Ridley Scott's direction would have been, okay, Richard, it's just a jump to the left and then a step to the right.
They would have just said, hey, Richard, do your thing, man. And he would have just been like, I'm going for it. Because even in a film like Dungeons & Dragons, somehow Richard O'Brien is still, the best part of that fucking movie.
Man, that movie did not age well.
On that note, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the final Kulturecast of Fantasy November.
The world is changed. Much that once was is lost. For none now live who remember it. History became legend. Legend became myth. And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost.
It has now been found. Is it secret? Is it safe? This is the One Ring, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron. Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands of a second darkness. He's seeking it. Seeking it all. His thought is bent on it.
No one knows it's here, do they? Do they, Gandalf?
Middle-earth stands upon the brink of destruction.
The weapon of the enemy is a gift. Let us use it against him. You cannot wield it. None of us can.
The ring must be destroyed.
It was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade.
What orders from Mordor, my lord? What does the Eye command?
We have work to do. one does not simply walk into Mordor. Its black gates are guarded by more than just orcs. There is evil there that does not sleep. The great eye is ever watchful.
What must I do?
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my axe. Carry the face of us all, little one.
We're coming too! Mr. Frodo's not going anywhere without me.
You will face the evil, and you will defeat it.
Are you frightened?
Yes.
Not nearly frightened enough.
There will be no dawn for men.
There is still hope. I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
Seas and mountains fall, and we come end of days. In the dark I hear her calling me there.
For Frodo.
I will go there and back again.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
That's right, on the final Kulturecast of Fantasy November, we are going to be taking a look at all three of the original trilogy of The Lord of the Rings, and only the extended cuts, please, because why would you watch anything else if you had a choice? And I'll be joined by our good friends, the host of the Projection Booth podcast, Mr. Mike White, and the host of the Scary Stories We Tell podcast, Jess Byard. And we're going to sit and probably talk for, well, not as long as those movies, but maybe as long as one of them. So until then, where can people find you, Trevor?
You can find me at the On Seagal podcast at onseagal.com.
What about you, Father Malone?
You can check me out at fathermalone.com. That is my podcast. Dark Destinations can be found there. It's a travelogue for fictional towns. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Ot5 Films, and you can hear me over on Chronicles from the Crypt, the show Chris and I do about the HBO television series Tales from the Crypt. And you can also hear me on Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast, which Chris and I do with the aforementioned Mr. Mike White.
And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at casualty_Chris. All the podcasts that I work on get posted there. Kulturecast.com is where you can find the RSS feed for the rest of the episodes of the Kulturecast, and patreon.com/Kulturecast is where you can go to kick a couple dollars our way if that's your thing. If not, hey, totally get it. Times are hard for everyone. Big thanks as always to Tiger Blood Jewel for the intro-outro music for the podcast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.